All right, and we are back here on the GSMC football podcast. And for the second part of the show, we are going to now get into talking about the Jets and their win over the Jaguars, as well as talking about Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams and whether they should be back with the Jets or not next year. And we've had this conversation numerous times, but now, I mean, the NFL is a week-to-week thing, and Aaron Rodgers is playing healthy right now. He has probably looked the best he has looked since the beginning of the year. And, the Jets finally pick up a win. Now, people could say, and I said this yesterday, well, they beat the Jaguars. I get it. But, you saw what this tandem is capable of doing. And Davante Adams, he still got it. He almost had 200 yards receiving in this game. He had 2 touchdowns. He actually didn't even have a catch in the first half, which is unbelievable. But they were on the same page in this game, or at least in the second half. And it does make you pause for a second and think, could they run it back? Now, I think the only scenario, I think, in which they both come back, because Davante's going to come back if Rodgers comes back. If not, then who knows? I think you need to bring in a coach and a GM that want him, and I've said that. And I think also Rodgers has to be okay with being the bridge guy, because the Jets, they need a future plan at quarterback, because Rodgers is not going to be around forever. And who knows? This could be his last year. He could walk away. But if he does come back, if he does want to play still, which I think a part of him does, I think he's kind of, he's got one side of him that wants to play, the other that wants to retire. I mean, that's kind of how it's been the last few years. But if he does want to come back, the Jets need to have a plan at quarterback. Now, there are people talking about Jordan Travis, and maybe he could be the guy. Still working his way back from his injury that he suffered last year. So, yeah, maybe that's a plan. Or, in this upcoming draft, maybe you take a chance on somebody. Maybe if it's not with the first pick you have, maybe you take somebody in the second or the third round. Something. But for me, the biggest problem with the Jets, and I've said it constantly, is coaching. If the Jets could get the right head coach in here that could fix the defense, because the defense, once again, was a problem on Sunday. I mean, you let Mac Jones do whatever he wanted against this defense. If you can bring somebody in here that can fix the defense, and you bring in coordinators that, can change this offense up, I mean, I think the Jets could be, decent next year. I mean, I said that this year, and look what happened. But, again, I constantly kept saying I knew what I was getting myself into. And it went completely sideways this season for the Jets. But it's just, you kind of fall into this trap, though, because, again, Aaron Rodgers has looked good recently. But that doesn't mean we go into next year and it's going to carry over. Because he could get hurt again. Now, the offensive line has been playing good. It seems like the Jets have kind of figured it out there. And, if you run it back next year, you'll have Davante for a full year. You got another year to try to build this rapport with Garrett Wilson, even though there's rumors that maybe he wants to be traded after the season. The running backs they have are pretty good. I think, they need to get a tight end. Sorry, I'll hold him back. A sneeze again, of course. That always happens at least once. But I do think that there's potential. I mean, there's potential going in this year. There's a lot of talent on this team. It's just, like I said, everything went sideways. But if you can get the right head coach in here and a legit head coach that's going to fix this team, and maybe Aaron Rodgers kind of takes a step back, I think they could be decent next year. I really do believe that because they have the talent. But again, if they run it back next year, don't expect me to give the Jets 11 wins. It's not happening. They'd have to show me. But I mean, you look at Aaron Rodgers' numbers, and look, I'm not trying to say he's been spectacular this year because he's had some bad moments. I get it. But Aaron Rodgers this year, I actually went to the Packers score instead. Aaron Rodgers on the year, I think he has 23 touchdowns. Yeah, 23 touchdowns to 8 picks. He's probably going to finish, around 4,000 yards passing. He's going to finish close to 30 touchdown passes. With 3 to go, he's going to be close to 30. I mean, overall, season's not been bad. But there's been a lot of bad games, sprinkled in there. Well, not a lot, but there's been some. I mean, the Cardinals game was not good. Looking at that now. The Vikings game when he had 3 picks, although they still had a chance to win that game. Denver game was not good. But, again, I mean, these last 2 games, he threw for 300 yards last week. He threw for almost 300 this week. If you protect him, I mean, he's still got the arm talent is still there. The arm talent is still there. The mobility has kind of returned as well. He had to run around. He ran around a little bit. Obviously, it's not like what it was, 10 years ago. But, he's healthier. So, we'll have to see how it goes. But, yeah, I'm happy that him and Devontae, they they looked good. They looked good on Sunday. It was reminiscent to what they did in Green Bay. So, I'm hoping that maybe they do run it back, so we get to see a full year. But who knows? Who knows what ends up happening? So, yeah, no, it was nice to see that. And like I said, Devontae still has, something left in the tank. He does. And, we'll see. We'll see how the rest of the season plays out. There's still 3 games left. And I did say that depending on, how Aaron Rodgers plays, maybe the Jets kind of rethink, hey, maybe we could run it back with him. And so far these last 2 games, he's played well. And the Jets should have beat the Dolphins. Now, they could have lost this game, too. Kind of similar to what happened in the Dolphins game, although it didn't backfire. The Jets, they could have just kneeled it down and kicked the game-winning field goal. Although, again, with the Jets, you never know. I mean, Carlson could have shanked it or something, and then we go to overtime again. But, they went for the touchdown at the end. Braylon Allen scored. They got it. And then Mac Jones and the Jaguars offense, they looked like they were going to tie the game driving down the field. And then actually, Sauce Gardner got an interception. So, that was good to see that. And Mac Jones actually finished on the day 31 of 46 for 294 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. The Jaguars got the ball to start off the game, and they went right down the field. And Mac Jones had never lost to the Jets until that game. Because, of all those games against the with the Patriots. But yeah, no, the Jets actually beat Mac Jones. It wasn't easy because the Jets defense has not been good. So yeah, no, we'll see how the rest of the season pans out for the Jets. But you got the Rams coming up. That's going to be a tough game. The Bills. and then you got the Dolphins to finish up the season. Now, if Rodgers plays well in all three of those games, and even if they lose, I mean, I think you really got to consider, like, maybe we run it back one more time. One more. Bring in the right head coach. Because if you bring in a veteran guy, and I said the same thing about Belichick, they might not necessarily want a rebuild. They maybe could want Rodgers for, one more year and try to win. And then you worry about the future if he decides to retire. I think that's how you got to look at it. But also, again, does Rodgers want to come back? And right now, we don't know. We have no idea. So we'll see what happens. Again, it was nice to see Davante Adams and Aaron Rodgers. It was like it was a flashback, to their prime years in Green Bay, and you could see and look, they're still able to do it. Again, not against a good defense, but I think you still got to take it into some consideration. At least look at the fact that Rodgers looks healthier. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. I think it's definitely possible that these two guys are back. I think, Jet fans should at least want Davante Adams back. I mean, you have him and Garrett Wilson. I mean, it's a nice tandem you got there. That's up there with one of the best duos in the NFL. So, we'll see what happens, but let me know what you guys think. Should the Jets bring back Aaron Rodgers if he wants to come back? Again, we're going to continue to have this conversation. Probably going to have it again one or two more times. But I think based on how he's playing, if you get the right regime in here, it could work. Because I do think the number one problem with the Jets this year was coaching. And yeah, Aaron Rodgers has not been great, like I said, but I think he's not even two, I don't think. Because I think the defense has been the bigger issue this year. Because they blew games late. But yeah, that's my thoughts on it. Like I said, let me know what you guys think. So before we go to break, just want to remind you guys once again to tip or donate and get your comments recognized. Make sure to hit that super chat button in the chat if you want to see me acknowledge any thought or comment you may have throughout the live broadcast. Makes the show more lively, more entertaining between myself, the host, and you guys, the viewers. We appreciate your guys' viewership each and every day, so any contribution you can make to the show means the world to us as we put out content for you guys each and every day. And also, the other way to help out the show is by going to the link at the bottom of the show segment on the ticker, GSMCPodcast.net. That is GSMCPodcast.net. So when we come back from our next break, we will talk about the Dolphins-Texans game. I'll give you guys an update on Grant Dubose, the wide receiver. So make sure to stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.